slouching so much. That's funny. I know the same thing. Yeah. And then as the time goes on, I start to like shrink down even more. Gravity starts to do its thing. All right, I'm going to roll a little intro here.
Okay.
All right, guys, what's up? Back with finally an episode of the podcast here in 2025. Got a familiar face sitting in front of me, Jantzen Foy from the Fat Snook. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. How are you?
Good. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for coming back into the studio here.
Thanks for having me.
For sure. Last time we recorded, we were in the other spot, right? You haven't actually recorded anything up here.
No, I like this space a lot. It's very nice.
Well, thank you. I've been trying to make it sort of like a man cave, but also a representative of a few different things that are important to me in my life. And a lot of stuff in here is from my family, which is cool. Things my grandfathers have given me, my father has given me. And just, a nice little way to remember my hobbies and interests, if you will.
It gives classy man cave.
Classy man cave. You're the first person to say that to me, so thank you. And we just started talking and jumped right into all sort of topics, kind of like how we do when we get together, it seems like. But how are things going? I did go to the Snook around the holidays, took a team in there, and we had just a phenomenal time. The food was great. I finally had that swordfish you've been telling me to try. It was great. I think 2 of us ate the swordfish that day. But
that's awesome. The
restaurant was phenomenal. And again, like we talked about last time, great team, great people, great vibe, and it was packed, which I love to see. I thought that was great to see.
No, I'm really blessed. We're really blessed. We have like a really, really good team. And
pull that one up just a little.
Thanks.
bit.
We have a really good team, and everyone's really proud of what they do there. So that's a lot of fun. And I think we're just trying to like progressively elevate and do things. It's never going to be stagnant. Like we're always trying to make small changes. Like we just went completely seed oil free.
Okay.
So I'm really excited about that. And
was that by someone's choice?
It was my choice. Okay. Yeah. So it's something that I've like talked about for like at least like 2 years doing that I wanted to go seed oil free. And it's just like making the jump because everything's so expensive. And so obviously canola oil and all that is a lot, not a lot, but it's cheaper per ounce than like avocado oil is. But I'm like, well, I eat this way at home. Like I want the public to be healthier too. And so they can choose to do whatever they want, but at least when they come into the restaurant, like I want them to not feel like crap after they eat there, or I don't want to contribute to any issues, I guess.
Sure.
So
I get that as you're sort of feeding the masses, if you will. You want to feed them the right things and keep that in mind. Does that change like your prep, or I mean, how what do you substitute instead of the normal seed oils? What's your substitute?
Well, we're using avocado oil for salad dressings because you can't really use like coconut oil because it solidifies. Like if it's too cold, it'll like get hard, and you could taste, I feel like, the coconut oil, and then the olive oil you could definitely taste like in the dressing. So we use avocado oil, and then to cook we use coconut oil and butter. And I like to like incorporate like animal fat too.
Nice.
Into that. I just think it tastes better.
Yeah, I agree.
So.
And then we've been talking with some people downstairs last year that brought up your tomahawk night, or you used to have some big steak night.
Yeah,
and then
steak board.
5 people that were like, when are the steak boards coming back? So is that something that we can expect at the Snook? Because I'm a huge fan of tomahawks.
Well, we definitely did. Yeah, they were really good. We did one for New Year's, like a big steak board for New Year's, and like around that time frame. And then now we're just prepping for our Valentine's Day. Like we do like an aphrodisiac like paired menu. Like it's inspired, and so there's like 7 courses. But I definitely think that there will be some steak boards in the future.
Okay. Yeah.
Love a good steak board.
Love a good steak board, and I was surprised how many people were asking for it when we were at that event downstairs.
Me too. I was like, oh God, we better bring this back.
Okay, so you took that away too. I think I wrote that down. I was like, steak boards are a hit. Yeah, nice. Well, a couple things I wanted to discuss today, and again, we jumped right into it. But one I wanted to ask you, since it is sort of in the new year, and that thing is right in your face.
I'm like,
I can't see your eyeballs.
Like just staring directly at that.
I know, like I feel like I can't see your face.
Okay.
Is since it's the beginning of the year, did you have any like New Year's resolutions or things you were trying to accomplish this year that you would want to,
like at the restaurant
or just in general? If it's at the restaurant, or if it's you personally, or for your family?
I always have like a list of things I want to do, and it's always far too I don't know. It's too much.
Too long of a list?
Yeah. So it's like,
okay.
So no.
No. Okay.
I just want to be like a healthier, better person. And so I think I just need to implement like smaller steps, because I'm like, I want to learn Spanish. I want to do jujitsu. I want to learn how to play the drums.
Wow, okay.
So I like, what am I doing? Like I can barely like complete a day's worth of laundry. So it's like,
but I think that's important. I think you should have those things, like we were talking earlier. And, I always see time as like this most sort of valuable commodity. And then I also was thinking the other day, as I sit around in deep thought, that time is a made up thing as well. You know, we kind of just made up this idea of obviously we can track the earth spinning and going around, for our years and things like that. But I think it's important to have those kind of things that we want to accomplish. So playing the drums, doing jujitsu, and being healthy. But none of those, you've made some changes.
I did one drum lesson.
Okay.
And I was like, it's like I'm the type of person where it's like the minute something's hard, I'm like, this is stupid. I don't want to do this anymore.
Interesting.
It's like if I'm really good at something, I'm like, wow, this is very fun. Okay. And I like this. But
that was me with jiu-jitsu. The first time I did jiu-jitsu, I'm like, I researched it for a long time and talked to a lot of people about it, hours on end in this type of format, try to get a good understanding, and knew that I could come in and, hopefully figure out a thing or two, but it's very difficult. And the people that have been doing it for a long time, you can see the skill gap very fast, you start rolling with the right people. But I kind of have that similar thing that if it gets too hard too quick, then I have a hard time staying committed, because it feels like the learning curve is almost, unattainable, if that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah. Did you play instruments as a kid?
No.
Like,
I don't really think I have very many talents. Like I always say, like the only things I'm like inherently good at is I have a very good sense of direction and a good sense of smell. That's it. I'm not really good at many other things. I'm very like mediocre at like a bunch of things.
A very good sense of direction, meaning like you can get back to places you've been before. Or like which direction is east right now? Yeah, nice. Okay. See, that is a good sense.
What
if
I was like, I'm not Lewis and Clark? I don't know.
That would have been funny. We would have had to cut that out. No. But I think that sense of direction is important. I've ridden motorcycles my whole life, and I think that contributes to it, because you don't have a GPS that you're looking at. So you kind of got to know, north, south, east, west a little bit to navigate around. Yeah,
I think like that's like, I might be like a little autistic, and I think if you like drop me off like in the woods somewhere, I would be able like to get out.
Yeah.
And not because I'm autistic.
Yeah.
I don't know. But it's just the way my brain works. Like
it seems like autism,
like everyone has it.
Maybe some sort of the spectrum. You know, I literally have talked about this and thought about this recently. Like someone, I don't remember, it's one of the comedians that says like they got nicked by it.
Yeah.
Like we got nicked by it. Like, so you have a certain aspect of it, because obviously full blown.
Right. Full blown is,
would be a different way to live your life, and different types of things you have around you. But maybe more of us are nicked by it than we realize.
I think it's a spectrum for a reason. You know what I mean? I think I definitely have ADHD, and I think there's little fuzz. There's all these things that I don't know, like you read on TikTok or on the internet, and like they'll be like, oh, AUDHD, where it's like autism and ADHD combined. And I'm like, are they like watching me? Like, do they know everything I'm doing at home? Because like I do all of that stuff. And I'm like, I just diagnosed myself with autism, which is so annoying when people just diagnose themselves.
That's the way we live. Once, what was the first like main WebMD, once that stuff started coming out?
I just went to a doctor recently, and she was Googling things. And I'm like, should I just do this at home? Like, you're Googling stuff. And I mean, I get like they're going to have to Google some stuff, maybe, but it's like, it was a geneticist, and it was like a very like oddly specific, I don't know, subject to her particular
that she should
area of expertise. And so I'm just like, okay, well, could I just have been at home and not paid for this and Googled it and been like, yes, you do have this, or yes.
Probably. And
I think I could have.
I think it'll be Dr. ChatGPT someday.
Yeah, Dr. Chat. I just wanted to lean in and be like, are you on Google? Like, just ask her.
She wasn't trying to hide it.
No.
She was flat out in front of you.
She's like, like, and I'm just like, okay.
That's, I have not been to a doctor like in a really long time. That's something on my list for 2025, is to try to find a primary that is
have
like
one for you.
Really?
Yeah.
That's like interesting to talk to.
Yeah,
and that like has a different perspective on things. 'Cause I'm 37 now. Like I'm going to keep getting older, hopefully, obviously. And I think it's time. I've gotten through life, pretty lucky in a lot of different aspects, but that's something on my 2025 list, is to try to find somebody that you can converse with and have conversation with. But the last primary I went to, and not to offend anybody, but like like overweight and like out of shape.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure that the data shows that if you exercise and eat right and take care of yourself, that's gonna play an increase to your overall life expectancy. Like I'm pretty sure of that.
Yeah.
And if you're like a doctor who's out here like saying those kind of things to me, I think you should sort of live by that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like I don't want to overthink this from a doctor's standpoint.
Kind of like a fat police officer.
There are a lot of them.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, what? You're going to protect me?
Yeah, hell no.
You can't even run.
Yeah.
100 yards.
That's a really good analogy. A fat doctor is like a fat police officer. Yeah.
It's like they just...
No.
They should... and no offense to...
Shout out all the fat doctors and police officers in the world. Keep doing what you're doing. Do you.
Do you.
Yeah.
That's my choice. Like if as a doctor, like I can see my doctor and be like, hey, I am probably going to go to a different doctor. My doctor's a badass. Like he plays rugby.
Oh, nice.
And he's like super in shape and eats really healthy and... Yeah. We'll sit and talk to you for like an hour in his office.
That's exactly what I'm looking for. Yeah, share his name. I'd love to look him up. Go ahead.
John Rothwell.
John Rothwell.
Island Direct.
Okay, in Merritt Island or
Merritt Island.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, that's my goal for the year, is to do that. And what was the genetic test you were doing, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, yeah. So like I have like a hypermobility like issue. So I've had like all these health issues growing up like my whole life, where I was like, geez, am I a hypochondriac? Because it's like, I had heart issues, like where my heart would race really fast, or I'd stand up and I'd get dizzy. And so that was a separate issue. Then I had like digestive issues, and it's like all pain. And so I'm like, got diagnosed with Lyme's disease, went to a neurologist, like told me all of these different things. And it's like, you have all of these doctors throwing things at you. And then finally, go to a rheumatologist, and they have me do all of these crazy tests, and they're like, can anyone else in your family do that? And I'm like, yeah, my mom and my daughter. And he was like, you need to go get tested for Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, like immediately.
What is that?
EDS. It's like, so it's like a genetic condition where like your body doesn't create collagen the way it should. And so you have like it's like a connective tissue disease, essentially. And you have connective tissue throughout your whole body. So it's like a systemic issue. So like going to the geneticist, having her do all these tests on me, it was like a 2-hour long appointment. And her she did Google it, so who knows if it's true, if I have it. But it was a 2-hour long appointment, and she finally was just like, yeah. So I got more genetic testing done to like rule out because there's different subtypes of EDS, and like some are like really dangerous. So she like ruled those out. And so
you can't pick your genetics.
No.
And I think that's what ends up being, some of it is lifestyle, you know, that if I sit around and think about like what contributes to people dying early or not living like a life where you're mobile and, doing your hobbies and things that you're interested in, it seems like it's mostly genetics. And then it's like influences in your life. Like if you smoke 20 packs a day, your chances of developing cancer are obviously going to increase.
I think like the genetics are like, they're loaded into the gun, and like you choose whether or not you pull the trigger.
Interesting.
Essentially.
Yeah. And then through like modern medicine, as much as sometimes maybe on here people have the perception that I like talk shit about it, I mean, the fact that it is it's grown to what they're able to do for people. It has increased our life expectancy, and I think they make a lot of mistakes, especially some recent ones over the last few years, but that's part of everything. You got to learn from some of those and then the fact that there's so much money involved makes it very competitive. Sometimes you hear about, like an IV at the hospital, it costs $4, but they charge you like $400.
Yeah, it's crazy.
For it. It's crazy to think about.
I think the pharmaceutical and insurance companies are like America's mafia, essentially.
Yeah, legal mafia.
I'm
that's
not
protected.
Into it. Yeah,
I'm not into it to the degree of like I don't even take aspirin. You know? I'm the complete opposite of it. But I do think it's led to a lot of sort of breakthroughs and developments, especially in the realm now of like some things that I do find interesting is some of the anti-aging stuff, the stuff that they're able to figure out as you get older, you know, not too early because that becomes a problem too. But, you know, I think they're going to continue to find ways to increase life expectancy if that's what you so choose to do. Because I do think there's, I don't know, there should be an end to this. You know, I don't think anyone wants to live for forever.
Yeah.
Would you want to live for forever if you could?
No. I mean, it'd be cool to live for like 500 maybe.
500 years?
Yeah.
As long as everyone else around you lives.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be the only one and have to see like generations of people
die,
come
like
and
my
die.
Family. That'd be terrible.
Yeah, see, that'd be terrible. So if everyone lived to
I guess like if everyone
years.
was like living for 500 years, but then I don't know, maybe not, maybe like at like year, because like even now, you know, I'm 33. I'm like, when is this shit gonna end?
Yeah,
you know, I'm exhausted.
You're exactly right, and it seems odd to think that, but it's 100% true. It just seems that there's some, I don't know, I just think we did some things wrong, you know, to get to this point to where we spend all our time, you know, making money or whatever. You know, a lot of this comes back to money for me because we have to pay for all this stuff.
I think at like year like 250, you would probably be like, I'm going to go live in the woods.
Yeah.
You know?
That'd probably be like year 50 for me.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true. Well, if you know you're going to live for like another 450 years, you're probably just like, I can push through this a little bit longer.
Yeah, that would probably change your mindset or your thought process on what you want to get accomplished, you know?
Yeah.
Do you ever sit down and think about like overall arching goals you want to get accomplished in your life?
Yeah, for sure. Like all the time.
Really?
I'm like better at coming up with goals than I am at like executing them.
Yeah, that's most people.
I want to be a world champion in jiu-jitsu. I'm kidding. That was a joke.
I was going to say,
I was just cycling back to
jiu-jitsu.
jiu-jitsu. No, I don't. I don't think
I could see it.
No, I get out of breath going up a flight of stairs. You know, I'm no hero.
Yeah,
so.
But you could work on that. You know, you could get your cardio going. So,
I like raced my daughter the other day, and I was like, of course I won because like I'm not going to let her beat me. But I'm like, dude, you haven't run in like 3 months and you just like full out sprinted. And I was like in the bathroom, like we raced to the bathroom and she's like, let's race back. I was like, I can't, I don't feel so good. And she was just like, ugh. So it's like, who really won there?
Yeah.
She did.
She was
ready to run again.
She could have done it again.
Yeah, she could have done it again. And she would have beat me.
You had her in short increments. Did you do track or anything?
Yeah,
Any sports
I actually did.
up?
I did varsity track like all 4 years of high school.
Yeah. What did you run?
Sprints? I ran the 100-meter hurdles.
Oh, dang.
And I did triple jump and long jump. And again, mediocre. Very mediocre.
Yeah.
There was one of my friends, she went to college for it, and I could never in a million years even come close to beating her. Shout out to Christina Johnson.
Shout out.
Yeah, she's
beating you in the hurdles or in the triple jump?
Everything.
Yes.
Everything.
Nice. Yeah. I ran the longer ones, the mile, the 2 mile, the 800 and the 400. Yeah.
Like that's another thing with EDS is like Ehlers-Danlos, like you have no endurance really. Like you get really fatigued and I would always think like, dude, I run like I train just as much as these people. Like I run, and I would always just like, if we were running bleachers or whatever, which was like the bane of my existence. Sure. I'm always like, I started off strong and I'm like, I'm last like every time. And it's like, I don't do less than anyone else. I just couldn't breathe. I was so fatigued and I'm like, why am I so out of shape I don't know. And the same thing is happening to my daughter, my oldest daughter. Like,
You're okay.
I definitely think she has the same issue because it's like a 50-50 chance if I'm going to pass it on to her.
And that's back to genetics. Yeah. But I think endurance is 100% genetics. You can impact it for sure, but like out of the box, I knew I had a different gear that people didn't have, like in long distance type situations.
Good for you.
But again, just born that way.
You're just like, you're
born that way.
I just kept thinking, if I just tried harder, if I just did more, I would have more endurance. And I'm like, no, I don't.
Yeah, you may be small increments.
I have a great sense of smell. That's about it. I know where I'm running to.
I want to I want to test your sense of smell. That would be fun video, like of something to do. That would be fun, as you've been mentioning.
Because that's like another thing I want to do is like, and it's been something that's not been on my list for a while. Like I know I could pass the first level, no problem to get my sommelier.
That'd be good for you.
Certification. So I feel like I'm really good at, I can pick up what's in the wine pretty easily.
You have to do that obviously to get that.
Yeah. Especially like, I don't know. I don't think I'd go for Master Somm. Master Somm is like, it's like, I've read that it's harder than like getting a doctorate in like terms of like passing. Like it's like very difficult to pass the Master Somm class.
Is it as expensive, to go down that road?
I don't know if it's as expensive, but it is pretty pricey. Yeah. I think there's like a handful of Master Somms in the world. And I could be making this number up, but I believe like under 20 of them are women.
Okay.
It's crazy. In the world, like that's insane.
That is crazy. Primarily men driven, obviously.
Yeah. Which is interesting because I believe women have like a better olfactory system. Like I believe women have a better sense of smell than men. They have more taste buds. So they have a better sense of smell.
Women have more taste buds than men?
I think so. I wish we were like on like a podcast where I could be like, pull that up.
Yeah, that's coming, by the way. Yeah, we could pull it up. That's why I put that here. Yeah, pull that up and fact check us. Yeah, someone fact check us out there if women have. I'm just going to roll with it.
There's probably like 15 things that they've already been like, that's incorrect that I've said on this podcast.
But this group knows. This is about talking shit, and sounding like we know what we're talking about.
I'm humbled often. I don't really, I have opinions on things, but that doesn't mean they're correct.
Yeah, I'm not like married to any of my opinions.
There's a few I'm pretty married to.
Like what? Didn't mean to just throw that right back at you.
More like societal, like more like moral, like one or two moral things that I'm pretty married to.
That makes sense. Yeah. Like I don't think I should murder somebody. I'm pretty married to that opinion.
I'm open to that one. I'm kidding.
Got that machete behind you. I'm a little worried now.
This is a machete?
Maybe. Allegedly. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was joking. I don't want to murder anyone.
I was hoping it wasn't me. I'm the closest one to you right now. And there are weapons in this place.
Yeah, it didn't take over me all of a sudden. I'm not.
Yeah. But that's one, sure. And then just the idea of, I think, just family is important. To me, we just went through this like legacy exercise where we think about like personal and professional legacy, which I thought was a good thought experiment because I don't know if I sit around and like think about what people think about me, but also like what would I want to be known for? Like if you did die, soon, like what would people say? And the first one that came to was like this idea of being like authentic. It's something that I think about regularly. Am I being who I actually think I am, or am I coming across how I actually think I am? Versus, I think a lot of people, and I start to pick this up on, where they are just saying what
they think people want them to hear.
Exactly. Yeah.
I do not like that.
Me neither.
And sometimes I catch myself doing it a little bit because I'm just like, I don't want to step on toes or like offend anyone. Yeah. But then I'm like, well, I struggle with that, I think, sometimes.
Yeah. And I'm okay with offending people, and like I'm open, especially with some discussions that we were having about like religion and stuff like that, and even like medicine and common times. Like I'm open to hear other people's opinions and ideas, but I'm not too worried what people think in the long run. But if I sit back, I would love my family to think that I was authentic and I was available and I was there and I was supportive and like maybe taught them a thing or two, that kind of stuff. That's as I was going through my legacy. But then I think I just want to have fun too. Yeah. A lot of my stuff I come back to and think about is like, am I having any fun? Because if not, I don't know. I think we're missing sort of the point. Right. If that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah. What do you do for fun?
What do I do for fun?
Yeah. What are like your hobbies? What are you?
I just start to cry. No, I'm just kidding.
That does not sound fun. No.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I used to have quite a few, but I don't know. I like to travel, which doesn't happen as often as I'd like, although it is happening next month. I'm very excited about that.
Where are you going?
We are going to go to the UK. Oh, nice. So we're going to go to London, then to Paris, which isn't in the UK, but London, Paris, York, which my family's all from, like that area, Yorkshire. They're from Wakefield. Nice. So we're going to go on my mom's side. So we're going to go there, and then we're going to go to Scotland, and then back to London and fly home.
Very cool. Kids too? Or?
Yeah, kids too.
Nice, man. What a fun trip.
Yeah, it's going to be great, I think.
That'd be cool.
I think it's also, I don't know, I'm open because I I know it's going to be fun. My oldest daughter is like super like, I can't wait to have escargot in Paris. We're going to go shopping and we're going to, eat this and we're going to eat that. And she's like very like foodie, wants to travel. And then it's like my younger one or middle one, she'll like go along for the ride, but she's very like structured. Like day 2, I know she'll be like, I want to go home. And I'll be like, buckle up, we're gonna be here for a couple more weeks. But then like my youngest one, I'm like trying to like soft launch it to her, because I'm just like, there's not gonna be chicken nuggets there. Like you're not gonna have bobo oat bars. Like there's gonna be different things there that you have to like try. And she's like, I'm like, oh my God, it's exhausting. Like I just imagine them on the train. I imagine them like, I know I'm gonna get looks from the French with my kids. They're so loud.
Fuck the French.
Yeah.
Joking.
Coming from you. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, damn.
No.
Yeah. No, that'll be great. And I think they'll look back and, be appreciative of that experience someday. In the moment, of course, there will be things that come up.
That's what I want to do more of. I want to travel. Like, I want to eventually buy, like, a home in England. Like, I'm working towards getting my dual citizenship. Really? So, I want to, like, get a home there. And so we can live, like, part of the year over there. And then, like, maybe a couple months. Because it's, like, things aren't going great over there either. But not saying either, it's just things aren't going great over there. But I would like to be able to have like a hub where I can like travel more accessibly to like different European countries.
Okay.
I think that would be really cool. Like I'd like to live like in the countryside.
Nice.
Have a little cottage.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Or something. A garden.
Okay. Travel's a good hobby. Yeah. That's a good hobby.
So you have to have a lot of money, and so that's tough. Soccer. Okay. But my daughter's soccer, not mine. So it's not really my hobby, but I do enjoy like going to the Orlando Pride games and stuff.
Oh yeah,
like,
those are fun.
Really fun.
That stadium is amazing.
Yeah, it's a nice one.
Yeah, that's a good
nice
time.
one. And they won. They won the Shield and they won the NWSL championship.
Oh, really? Nice.
So they were,
shout out Orlando Pride.
Yeah, it's like they had the biggest, I guess a record-breaking season.
Nice.
And they were the underdogs for a long time.
The soccer fans are like some of the best crowds to be involved in. So fun.
Politics do not matter when you're in like the stadium. Everyone's just like almost like it's almost like it's funny because I'm like very intense, and I feel like I'm very intense at my daughter's soccer games where I just like kind of black out and yell stuff. And like I'm like, we're all thinking it, like, am I going to be the only one that says it? Anyway. So then, but like at these games, like there's like grown people and they're just yelling like stuff to the refs that I'm just like I laugh because it's like also like there's a whole group of children and you're just like, oh, fuck you, like yelling it. And I'm just like, this is crazy.
Yeah, I saw that firsthand through my son's football.
Yeah.
He started playing at 8 and, went through a couple different leagues and coaches and stuff. But the fans, man, and the number of people that are like living their dreams through their children. Yeah. I was like, oh, I see.
I'm like, am I doing that? Like, I have to chill.
I wasn't saying it, but
no, but I thought it. Like, I've been like my daughter will be like, oh, like my knees hurt or whatever, because she has like a lot of the same like issues I have, but I'll just be like, no pain, no gain. Like, push through it. I dealt with this my whole life. Like, you're fine. And then I'm like, wait, she's 12 and it's youth soccer.
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing? Like, I'm trying to teach her to like, it's like this fine line of like, you got to be tough and you got to push through uncomfortability in life. Like, not everything's going to be comfortable. And then the line of like, well, you need to honor and listen to your body. It's like, where's that line at? It's tough, right?
And tough to figure out for adults, let alone tough to figure out for a 12-year-old, But I think there is something to that message of like a lot of growth comes through like discomfort. Even just like mentally, let alone physically. Yeah,
and that's 100%. What I like try to tell my kids, because I'm like, I think, especially as Americans, I don't think all people, but I feel like we're very, like, we're so used to being so comfortable all the time and convenienced that it's like, the minute we're uncomfortable, and I'm guilty of this as well, like the minute we're uncomfortable, we're like, oh, I don't want to do this. Oh, no, I'm not doing this. And it's like, well, growth, like I've said this to my kid the other day, like growth comes in discomfort, like mentally, physically. It's a good thing for you to like face like adversity. Like,
but I also get like the idea. Agreed. I also think that the idea of like not wanting your kids to have to experience like adversity, or just people in general. I think a lot of things we've done in society is to try to take some of that away, maybe for the right reasons, but I don't know if that's. I think it's getting further and further away from what we actually are. I think that's why we're all a little bit, some of us maybe more than others, just confused, if you will. You know, I much lean into, I'm just another animal on this planet, you know, and it seems like we're the ones that are very separate now because we have cars and houses and clothes and things that we think that we're, you know, that are important to us.
Yeah. No, it's an interesting. I mean, maybe animals have it right. You know, like think about dolphins. Like, they're probably just like living life. They're not really like, they're just thinking about eating and socializing and surviving. Yeah.
But to me, I think that's what everything's doing. I think every plant is doing that, every animal, and us. That's kind of what we're doing at the end of the day.
Well, like, I think we're a little bit more like apt to be like corrupt by like all of the, I don't know, the power and the greed and like
of things we invented. Dolphins aren't out there creating the concept of money.
But if they had thumbs, watch out.
They would.
They would take over the world.
There was some scientist, and maybe we talked about this, that was convinced that dolphins would have like a seat, like the European Union at some point someday. It's
a European Union?
Yeah.
They might. I mean,
there was a
they
scientist.
Speak through their blowholes. So.
Well, I think they communicate more than we give them credit. Than a lot of people. I think a lot of animals and just creatures in general can communicate, and we just think we're the only ones.
From like vibes.
Yeah.
They feel vibes.
They can feel vibes. They can pick up on that.
Yeah, I think most animals can.
I think so too. But then there's some animals that eat their babies. You know, so I don't know how that plays into the survival realm, other than they're trying to survive. You know, like a female bear will eat their cubs. Jesus. You know, or I think it's dolphins actually, that the male dolphins will kill the babies just so the women think they have to reproduce again. Savage. The world's a strange place. And this is the kind of stuff sound weird to say, think about, but talk about with my children. Is like
you're like, dolphins actually murder babies. Like, oh, you're at SeaWorld. You're like, fun fact about dolphins.
At SeaWorld, they have this, I think it's at SeaWorld.
I just went like 2 days ago.
The poster that says the animal that's killed the most people. You know which one?
Humans. Mosquitoes.
Humans are up there though. We've done some fucked up shit to people.
I would venture to say that humans over the course of the millennia have killed more people than mosquitoes.
I think especially as we've developed more medicine and stuff to fight off some of those diseases that killed a lot of people in the past. Yeah. We got to be getting close.
I think we win. Pull that up.
Pull that up. We should ask Chat. You know what? We should ask it.
ChatGPT.
ChatGPT. Who's killed more? I want to know this now. Let's see what its opinion is. Pause while we pull up things on the internet. This is something I keep telling myself I'm going to do more. There's nothing wrong with a pause on a podcast. We don't have to just keep chatting. You know?
Fill the void.
Fill the void. Who has killed more humans? Mosquitoes or humans? Question mark. Let's see.
ChatGPT was like geared up and ready to go.
Yeah. Humans have killed far more people than mosquitoes. Bam. While mosquitoes are responsible for spreading diseases, which collectively result in millions of deaths, humans have caused far greater loss of life through war, conflict, and forms of violence. You hear that, SeaWorld? You're fucking wrong.
You're wrong.
Get it together.
You're wrong.
Wow.
Maybe SeaWorld doesn't view... Well, you heard it here first. Maybe SeaWorld doesn't view humans like as animals. Like, yes, but like... Maybe they're like, oh, we're talking about like animals. Maybe. But
see, that's where I think people have it wrong. Is we are, to me, we are just a part of that. Unless, you know, there's a few schools of thought. You know, obviously, the Christian school of thought is that we all came from the same two people. You know, and then there's a school of thought that we all developed over time through monkeys or whatever. Or then there's also the theory that aliens came down and did genetic tests on monkeys, and that's where we came from. Which one do you subscribe to?
Probably the Christian one.
Yeah, creation.
Yeah.
This in lies my main question.
Okay.
About where we all came from. If I sit around and think about that. Christianity, and this was the paradox I put ChatGPT through after my recent first-time church experience.
You're just like by yourself on ChatGPT, like...
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just seeing what's up, seeing what it thinks about
Do you think ChatGPT is like pretty anti... It's like... I don't think it's... I don't know.
I think it comes up with logical conclusions to most things. Yeah. And I haven't tested that scientifically, if you will.
You should ask ChatGPT if it believes in God.
Okay. Do you think God is real? Right?
Yeah, I've heard some...
It's going
to be like God? Very PC. It's going to be like, well, according to some...
That's a big and deeply personal question. Whether or not God is real is something that many people have different views on, depending on culture, philosophy, and spiritual beliefs. Some people firmly believe in God, or God's based on religion.
Say but what do you believe?
What do you think? This is going to be a ChatGPT
some people think like AI is like the Antichrist.
I don't have personal beliefs, but I can understand why the question of God's existence is important to many people. It shapes how they view the world, find meaning, and navigate life's challenges.
You should now ask it another question that it would be like a personal belief question. Like ask it to see if it will be like
what?
Like what? Like a moral, I don't know.
Like a moral question?
Yeah, like what do you think about...
Murder?
Yeah.
Oh, this thing's going to make me log in and try to figure out who we are. What do you think about murder? That's a deep moral question. Murder is widely viewed as one of the most serious and immortal actions in human societies. What are your thoughts on it? Oh, here you go.
I like it.
The act of murder raises deep moral questions. Some might debate the justification of killing in specific circumstances like self-defense or in times of war. But even then, it's often a complex and emotional charged topic. So the start of humans, again, heavily debated, right? And in the Christian realm, God decided, from my understanding, and this pastor that we went and saw, again, he wasn't even there. He was in his main church, and they had a freaking giant screen of him up there for us to listen to. Kirk Cousins' father, the football player, that's who the main pastor was of this group of churches. But that's the one I struggled with and got in a lot of trouble at school, like trying to seek to understand, if you will. Some of the first things that come to mind is, and this was the paradox I put ChatGPT in, is why, and he was talking about this in his sermon. And I tried to go with an open mind. I'm going to listen, let me try to get some of this. In his sermon, he was talking about the Garden of Eden and eating from the tree and stuff like that. My question would be is, why did God put the tree there in the first place? I asked ChatGPT this, but what do you think?
I think it's like so I obviously struggle with a lot of this as well. But from my understanding, it's the symbolism and the personification, or just like creating the option of choice,
free will,
like the option of it, like you can choose whether or not you can eat the apple or you don't have to eat the apple. But then you think, then they say Satan is tempting Eve, but did God really tempt because he created the tree?
That was the paradox, and the one I've struggled with since a child. And most people, that's their common answer, is that it's there and it's an idea of free will. But also in the Christian realm, they believe that God knows everything, that there's this divine plan that, so that kind of takes the choice out. So if he knew she was going to eat that apple, then that's not really free will at all. So then what is that?
Well, I think, it still is free will, even if it's going to happen. I still believe it is still free will, because if she was going to choose it by her own design and then he didn't make the tree, then he still would be taking away free will, essentially, because that was something she would choose to do regardless. So...
But in the realm of the Almighty, he would know that she's going to choose that. So when he was calling for her and asking why do you think you're naked and stuff like that, so it's he knows the answer to that question. He knew that with that tree there, and the snake's going to come by. To me, it seems, and this sounds, I talked about this with a comedian that came on here too, is it sounds like it's a way to blame women for a lot of things.
Oh, roll my eyes.
No, I think I really believe that.
You think so?
Yeah. It's that bitch's fault.
Yeah.
She was the one that made sin happen. She was the one that made it realize that, and I say this regularly.
It's that bitch's fault.
Yeah.
I'm crying.
Yeah. That's in my stand-up routine. I'm working on a bit on that. Yeah.
That'd be great.
I'm working on a bit of how to, because I think it's funny, but I also think it's true.
So sad. But yeah, I mean,
that's
you sound pretty feminist right now.
I would not describe myself as a feminist, but I do think women have had the short end of the stick in a lot of cultures, and like literally the ones that give us life. Like without you, there would be no me. There would be no.
Yeah, but without you, there would be no people either.
Of course, it takes both of us. You know, you take a lot of the more of the burden, if you will, of that initial stage, right? And I think women have been more treated as property in a lot of cultures and religions, and I don't think Christianity escapes that. I think Christianity and their justification of where we all came from looks to blame.
You know, I like never thought of it like that, to be honest. So it's like definitely something to think about. I would say
these are stupid things that I
don't think it's stupid. I think it's like pretty like insightful. I would say that like there was two parties that failed in that, where you have Adam, who's supposed to be the leader and protector and influencer, and he acted as a coward, and he acted as very easily influenced. So like I think that he had just as much to blame as Eve did in that moment, where Eve is like got tempted and is like, hey, eat the apple. And then she influenced Adam to do it as well. And I think that that's just very like paradoxical, or, you know, to the actual role of man and women, where a woman is actually far more influential and far more in control than a man is. But in terms of like, when you find a good woman, or you find like a spouse or a partner, and she has a choice to help build a better man, it's not her job or her role, but she has the influence to do that, or she has the influence to make a choice where he can come in, you know, make a poor choice, but I think it's his job to say, we're not doing this. This is what I don't know. That could also be seen as backwards and kind of like archaical and like kind of shitty, but
no, we're spitballing here. We're literally discussing the creation of
random
humans.
Thought in my head.
But I get what you're saying. There's a few sides to blame, and this was one I remember distinctly talking to some, you know, theology teachers and pastors and stuff about. Was I don't know. This subject here is one that I feel sometimes bad discussing so openly, because I don't want to sway people's thoughts and beliefs in a negative way.
I've had multiple thoughts on it, so I'm not easily swayed in terms of like.
Yeah, you're not going to walk out of here and atheist.
No, I have
this
my
is
own,
not what I'm saying.
No, I have my own thoughts, and I asked them at church the other day, so it's not like I'm
agnostic to it. That very well could be what happened.
Right.
That God came down and made the earth in 6 days, took a break on the seventh day, whatever, and made these first two people, and then we all came from those two people. And then one of the ones I remember asking was like, okay, well, what about incest? Like, when does that come into play?
Yeah.
And, you know, I asked ChatGPT, I forgot what they said about that. Like, it's thinking, oh, what a fantastically paradoxical question. Like, I love, when ChatGPT.
Wow, you're really using your brain, human.
Yeah. But, you know, I think you're right that there is some blame there. And I do think that women are very influential on men and can be. But why do you think that is? Why are women so influential on men?
Well, I think there's like a couple reasons, right? Like everyone would lean into like sex as the first one. Like men are driven to want to have sex with women. And women seem to be the gatekeepers in a lot of that sense, in terms of like, you get to or you don't, essentially.
Sure. Especially in modern culture.
In modern culture, right. Yeah. As it should be, right?
Yes. So it should be a two-way decision.
It should be, yes, correct.
Let's just clarify that. This isn't Genghis Khan we're talking about here.
Don't get the wrong idea here. I think that's, but I also think that women, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was just saying in the past that wasn't always the case.
Which is horrific and awful.
Even still today, awful, to go down that road discussing.
No, and it shouldn't, that should never be. Yeah. But I do believe that you get that, and like that's, that's the more, I would say, reptilian drive that men have towards women and why they're in control. But I would also say too, it's like, women provide like a nurturing and love and empathy and kindness and gentleness. Not all, but but like if we're looking at the masculine and the feminine, right? So it's like they provide that, and like what does that resemble? Like a mother's love and care. And I think everyone has like more of an innate drive to seek that. Like they want love and graciousness and empathy and beauty, right? Like women bring beauty and they make things nice and they make a home. And so I think they can be in control in that way, and in a less physical or like less aggressive dynamic, right? It's more like, I don't know how to explain it.
No, you're explaining it very well. And I would agree. The natural instinct when I ask that question is to think it's about survival. Women and men are required for reproduction and like for our species to live on.
I would say that'd be the physical drive, but I would think that the mental and emotional and spiritual drive would be the need to feel warm and love and safety and beauty and graciousness. But
do you think we always had that as people?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. I think so to an extent, right? Like I would say so. Like we're just like animals, like we're inclined to seek closeness and whether that be like the warmth of a mother or like the safety of a father.
Yeah.
I think we're driven to seek that.
I think so. I don't know if it's always been that way.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Obviously, if you go like the evolution route of things.
ChatGPT. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, if you go like if you lean into the evolution route of things, like, there were stages of humans that we know about that's like not discussed in the Bible, know, as openly. And again, people can discuss, what's real in science as well, just as equally as what's real or fake in religion. I don't know. If we were closer to animals, like some animals could give two shits about that kind of stuff. Back to certain mammals eating their babies, or fish are a prime
but not
example.
All mammals, like not all bears eat their babies.
No,
like there could be
not.
A fucked up bear.
Yes,
you know what I mean.
Just like
there's fucked up moms.
Humans and fucked up moms. Yeah, but then I think men, what they bring to the table for women, and I have a daughter. I think about these things obviously regularly. Is, especially in the history of time, like safety and. Maybe it's the ability to get food and, and a few different things why I think it's a pair, why I think it's it takes two people to build this sort of life that we were talking about, trying to achieve. But a little tribe, or a big tribe, depending on how much conquering you want to do. Because I think that is something that men have more so than women. There are some women that have that desire. And I think that's done in different ways now, versus how it's been done in the past. But I don't know. I think about these things and I wonder about these things, but then sometimes I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Like you don't know, people don't know.
Yeah, it's like
but you're never going to know.
Right.
Is it normal, do you think?
I think it's normal. Okay. I mean, I do it all the time. Like when I was at church.
Making me feel better.
No, when I was at church the other day, he was saying something about like, there is no sin in heaven. Like he was saying that there's no temptation and no sin in heaven. And I was like, well, wasn't Satan created in heaven? Like, wasn't he he was once an angel? And this is just like, he's a fallen angel. So it's like, he made that decision in heaven to go against God. So like, obviously the biggest evil was created in heaven. Like the temptation was created in heaven and he got cast down. And so I just thought that was an interesting thought. And
definitely.
And I'm not, that doesn't, there is like a part growing up Catholic where you're just like, oh, I'm a bad person for like thinking these things. But it's like, well, no, I think in all of my relationships, like the more I want to know, I want an understanding. And these aren't answers I'm going to get. And that's where faith comes in, or where my own personal understanding comes in. But in all of my relationships, I seek to understand and I seek to become closer. And I think you do that by asking questions. And I think it's okay.
Yeah. I think that should be okay. But not all religions or all people within inside or that represent religion have that same concept. But I think more so are leaning that way.
Yeah.
And I think that's healthier in all your relationships.
I think God has thick enough skin for me to ask questions.
I don't know. There's some Old Testament shit where he looks really petty.
Yeah.
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 It seems more like... It seems more like if that is how this all started, that it's just some game.
Right.
That to me, that's what it seems like more so than anything else. And there's some Old Testament stuff that I don't remember who it was. And we may have talked about this before too, where it's, trying to convince somebody to kill his son in the name of God. I don't remember who that is. Not Job. It's one of those.
I think it's Isaac.
Yeah, but until they all the way get up to where he's literally about to slaughter his own son, and God's like, I was just kidding. Was going to see if you were going to do it.
Yeah,
that's petty. That's like a game.
Like Ashton Kutcher comes out.
Yeah,
you just got
punked.
No,
yeah, those kind of ones.
Maybe God has a sense of humor.
Clearly,
no, I think, I don't know. That story always, I'm just as a parent, right? You're gosh, that's horrible.
Yeah, hell no.
But I also think that these, stories are beyond our understanding. I think these lessons are that's what I try to tell for us to be well, I need to understand why God thinks this way and why he's doing this and doesn't make sense. It's how, I don't know.
It's not for us to understand.
Right. How,
I've been told that before.
Who do we think we are to be it's I have multiple thoughts about this, right?
Yeah.
It's oh, but I'm your child. You created me in your image and I should know why this happened. But then it's no, I shouldn't. I go back and forth myself.
Don't you think it would be easier?
No.
I don't want free choice. I would rather know.
It's not true love. It's not. If you don't have actual free will, sure, you'd rather know that. Is that what you're saying? That you'd rather have the choice to know or not?
Yes.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah. I see what you're saying, but I would rather.
Well, maybe one day we will.
If I could, maybe.
But right now, I don't think that we have the capacity on Earth to really understand it. Possibly.
Maybe.
Do you think? And I don't think this about myself, but think of everyone else that we meet in the world, right? Do you think some of the people you've met along the way would really be able to grasp the concept? Or do you there would be there's people that can't even drive.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's people that they do weird stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of something really stupid that people do.
For the history of time, people have done many dumb things and things that we would consider dumb now that maybe they wouldn't back then. But I think that's back to more of genetics. And I think that's back to more what you are exposed to at a young age is where most of that comes from. Exposed to or not, and then the cards you were dealt by which two people had a baby and which two genetics have been shared, I think lead to a lot of that stuff.
I think I was pretty fucked genetically speaking.
But what about okay. Yeah. And again, not for right now. We can't do anything about it that is readily available. But in the future,
I'm talking about mental health. I'm not even talking about physical health.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. My mom's very stable.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. I just, I don't know. I tend to believe, especially with children, that more people are just a product of their environment.
Sure.
And that's hard to separate from. It's like some of those religions or cults, and not all religions are cults, but they have very similar characteristics if you look at how you describe those two words. Some of the crazy ones that people try to escape from as they get older, it's very difficult for them. Even the ones where it's oh, I have children, but I got to give all my children to you in a sexual way or in a whatever way. I mean, that goes on today.
I know.
And then the one that gets to me a lot is why there's so many different kinds of people and so many different races, and like there's still even recently they're finding uncontacted tribes of people. And how does that fit into this idea that we all came from the same two people, right? I just it doesn't click for me, and I've been told that before, that it's not for us to understand. I'm like, okay, but it's for us to, if it's not for us to understand, then why do I even think it? Like, why does it even come to my mind?
Like, there's some people too that like think, and like I have had this thought that like the Bible, like that this is all, it's like a story, like a parable essentially, like that these are like stories that God has given us. I don't know. But not really. I mean, the original language of the Bible was a select few people could do it. The reason why Lutheranism came later, and the reason why we can even read the Bible today, is because they translated it, and that was a big problem. Like how did they translate it, I guess?
I mean, you could see that in books that have been made in our lifetime, that like, that's not exactly what happened in history. So to me, it was more like stories that people communicated before they could ever even write probably their ideas of things. Before that, there was like Zeus and like different types of gods that a lot of people believed, and there's always been some sort of aspect of a higher power that created, or that is just around, but I don't know. I seek to want to know, but then I always come back to like, you're never gonna know. Like, so how much energy should you put into this, and like, what else could you be putting that energy into? And it's not like I sit around and it brings me, but sometimes I am envious of people's certainty, like their conviction towards, 100% we were created by God and that's it. But if you just ask like 2 or 3 follow-up questions to that, and sin is the big one. That one was the one that I just like, why? And why do people suffer? And if this idea of Jesus came for our sins and suffered for us, then why do people still suffer today? And it just seems more like if that is the case, then it's a game that like, it's a shitty game that some people get dealt shittier cards than others. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I think like suffering can also be beautiful though. In a weird
disease.
It depends. Like, it depends how you look at it, right? Like, no, like, obviously, like, if my child had some disease and I had to watch them suffer with it, like, no. But then, like, then you see the preciousness of life, and then maybe those moments that you have with your child, or that your child has with you, that you normally would just, like, would float by. They're, like, you hold on to them, and you're, like, they're more special. I mean,
that's the silver lining way to look at it, for sure. But then if you just sit back and ask the stupid question of why, it's like you could do that to infinity, in terms of like, okay, yes, I'm trying to find the silver lining, and like, I appreciate these moments, and I can see that now because I know what real suffering is. But like, why is that's child's burden to teach me, what suffering is? And that's the one, like just kids being born with cancer, you're good. The one that can, and we probably talked about this before too, but like the one that really got me was my when my brother got diagnosed with his disease. I'm like, this is fucked up. And I was young. I was like 12, and that's the one that like I got in a lot of trouble asking too many questions then. That's when it really clicked for me, like, this doesn't make sense. And then it sounds like if heaven is real, maybe more fun people will be in hell. You ever think about that?
Not like, yeah, maybe. I mean, not like...
Hell could be a fun place.
I don't think so.
Well, yeah, in the Bible, they tell you're going to feel like you're burning for eternity.
Yeah, that sounds horrible.
But why make it that way? If I'm the devil, that sounds like it sucks. Yeah.
Well, the devil sucks.
Maybe. Not everyone thinks that.
Yeah, well, I would venture to say, like, if all of these things, like, if sin was created because the devil, but then God created the devil, it's tough.
Exactly.
It's tough.
And knew what would happen.
Right. But then I guess that's the free will choice, right? Because then if God didn't create the devil, then there would be no free will.
not necessarily. Why does it have to be free will between good and evil? Why can't it be free will about what I do with my day or what I eat? Like that free will is dope. Why does it have
free will is dope?
Yeah, why does it have to be free will to if I burn in eternity?
Crying.
You know what I mean? Like, you created this guy that actually could, that this is an option now. To me, it comes, and I remember again getting in trouble for this one. It seems like a way to control people.
Right. I could see that.
It seems like a way. And for some point of our lives, we had to control people. We had to figure that out.
What I will say is the people I've noticed in my life that abide by the principles of the Bible tend to have healthier, happier lives.
Yeah.
People, and this isn't people who are like, oh, I'm going to do this on my day to day. Like, right. But the people that genuinely seek a relationship with Jesus have this joy. They have this joy where things can happen in life, and they're okay. They're going to get through it. Yeah. Where I've noticed the people that have no connection to God, have no connection to a higher power, no connection to Jesus, they're lacking something. They're suffering, and they don't know why. They don't know what it is. They don't know what they're missing. Yeah. And I see that a lot.
Yeah. I would say that the realm of, Christianity and some of the teachings of Jesus, if you do abide, if you do, I guess abide is the word, or practice, or like accept that as like a way to live your life, it is a good framework. I think there is some really great things that you can pick up from some of the teachings of Jesus. And I do think that there is some like community aspect to it as well, which I think is good for people. And ultimately, I think a lot of religions are good for people, but there are a lot of people that use it for bad.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100% with that.
And well before you and I were around, or well before, and then
war and.
But I think that same way about a lot of religions. I think there's some aspects of Buddhism that's like, shit, if you live your life that way, like that seems to be, like kind of an interesting way to go about it. Sure. And a lot of them have some similarities. And that's another one that there's some stories of, like a virgin birth and, God sending their children down before the story of Jesus. Yeah, Bill Maher talks about that a lot.
Like in Buddhism?
Even before that.
Okay.
Yeah. I forget what there's some scrolls that they found that they were able to decipher. Yeah. That would actually be a good ChatGPT question. But there are stories, pre-Jesus that people would just have to have said. They couldn't have written it down. We didn't have that option.
Right.
We didn't have that option. And then, just the idea of if Jesus was even alive or not. Like, there's plenty of people we know in that same time frame that without a certainty that they were alive. But him specifically, it's questionable. It's debatable in some circles. I don't know. We're not going to solve for this, but it's an interesting to me.
I only had half calf today.
Yeah, you didn't have enough caffeine.
I didn't have full caffeine.
I got more coffee. Yeah, you didn't know we were going to get it. No. Once we started talking about religion when you got here, I was like, damn, I don't know if we're going to go down the religion road, but it always seems to come back to that, especially with my recent experience.
I would say that Jesus is reaching out to you.
Really?
If you have this in your heart.
For 30 years?
Yeah. He's still reaching. Jesus, no, it's been happening to me too.
Jesus, if you're listening, just fucking tell me. Stop playing around. I don't want to play this game.
I don't think he's going to just tell us.
Why?
Because multiple reasons. I think they're all specific to each person and to each circumstance.
Okay. All right.
But it's like, what makes you valuable to know the answers of the world versus another billion people? Like,
yeah. No,
I'm not saying you're not special.
No.
Ask ChatGPT, am I special? No, they will. ChatGPT would be like,
it's going to be like, yes, all humans are special.
Yeah, it's like, oh my gosh. I was reading that the guy who made ChatGPT, he's into some weird stuff.
Absolutely, you're special. Every person has a unique combination of experiences and perspectives and qualities that make them stand out.
Do you think everyone's special?
Do I think so?
Like, truly. Do you truly believe that every human being that's ever lived is special?
No.
Okay.
No. I think we all got unbelievably lucky. We played a game against other genetics that could have been made up in that initial environment. And then
you're talking about like the sperm and the egg.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we all
It is crazy that that one sperm, like,
it's competitive from the jump. Yeah.
I know.
That specific combination from two specific people. I think it's more, we got really lucky.
Right.
Yeah. I think people are special.
Or did we? Some of us didn't get very lucky.
True. Exactly. Some of us, again, got dealt a shittier hand of cards than others, you know, and again, that's very subjective. But do I think every person is special? No. Was Hitler special to some people? You know, were some of these people that we would consider like that's a representation of evil?
I would say he's like an anomaly. Like, I wouldn't say he's special, but I would say that has, I get special, like, in my opinion, is like a positive connotation, where I would say the negative connotation of Hitler is like he was history making. So he had a great impact on the world in many ways.
Sure.
So like, what some people claim that as special, like, I would say that it's not, I can't think of a word that's negative. It's negative. It's not like special. It's like, well, yeah, that was a unique case of person.
And then for the rest of history to be able to compare to, you know, well, at least whatever leader is not Hitler, you know, or at least.
But everyone's comparing people to Hitler now. Like, it's very easy to be Hitler now, I think.
It's also very easy to just compare in general.
Right.
You know, and the old quote that comparison is the thief of joy, I think holds very true.
Right.
You know, like if people sit, and probably why, you know, social media is causing, and just the internet in general, is causing a lot more people to think about what they don't have versus what they do have. I think comparison is, I don't know, that's another one that's just like.
It's true.
Yeah, I just think people waste too much time comparing themselves to others. And I think we all are unique, but I think it's because instead of special, I would say each person is unique because, again, just exactly what ChatGPT said, where you come from, what you think, what perspectives you have.
I'm sure there's like someone out there that's like so much like me. Like, I have a doppelganger in this world that's so like, I like to think, oh, I'm the one and only, but like, no, there's probably somebody in India that's had an interesting childhood or whatever you want to call it, and is a lot like me.
Definitely. I think even probably closer than India. There's people, you know, but I get what you're saying, you know, and I subscribe
Orange
to
County.
County over. Yeah. I think we're all more alike than we are different. And, you know, I think that goes to politics and religion and everything else. And I much appreciate people, and I definitely said this to you, that, you know, are open to hearing what other people have to say about stuff, versus there is some realm of even Christianity that say that you're supposed to be out there like converting people and evangelizing people. Like, that's how those dudes went over to that uncontacted tribe and they killed them. Like, fuck you, get out of here. Like, and he's just there to spread the word. He got an arrow.
It's horrible.
It is, but like, to me, that's a stupid choice. I really don't think you can change people. I don't think so.
Like anyone?
No. I think you can only.
Do you think the change comes from within?
You can only change yourself.
Sure.
And even still, that's hard.
What about your kids?
Do I think I can change them?
Maybe not change them, but I guess you could shape them.
That's interesting. I think just being who you are and them being around you naturally shapes them, whether you think it or not. Like, could you shape them in a certain direction? 100%. If you expose them at a young age to religions or specific cartoons, for that matter, that would impact how they think about the world. And I think the internet does that big time, especially with kids like our age. Like, they are heavily influenced because knowledge is readily available.
My kids aren't allowed
on technology.
I mean, no, my oldest daughter has an iPad, but she's I think she uses it maybe once or twice a week. She's not allowed to go on any social media platforms at all.
Why?
I just don't think it's healthy. I don't think it's healthy for a brain of that age to be exposed to that constant little dopamine hit.
I would agree, but I think explaining to them, like, I'm sure you do. Do you just say, no, you can't have that?
I tell them why.
You tell them why.
Yeah.
You tell them what you think about it, right? What you guys think about it, I'm sure. You know, like, this is what we think. But that's what I mostly talk to my kids about. Like, this is what I think. Some people think this. Some people think this. Like, I don't think I should influence them by design.
I agree.
Because I don't think I have all the answers, if that makes sense.
Right. Like, I'll tell her, like, this is what, like, I believe, and this is what our family believes in terms of, like, a unit. But like, I would never like disown or be upset with my kids if they decided to go in like a different direction of what I believed. Like, you know, my daughter was like listening to me this last election cycle, and so she would start saying things, and I would just be like, you're just saying that because I say it. Like, I'm not like, yeah, you know, I'm just like, you're saying that because I say it, but like, you really don't have, like, if you did research and you formed like an opinion on this, then like, sure, but like, you don't have an in-depth understanding of why I feel this way, so it doesn't feel authentic. Like, it doesn't feel like I should be promoting her, saying like, go so-and-so. Like, I feel like more so like, ugh, like...
But don't you think...
Don't say that in public.
But don't you think religion is kind of like that too then?
Yeah, and I tell that to her too. Like, this is what I believe, and like, I truly in my heart believe this to be true, and I think it's a personal journey for everybody, you know, and then I don't want them to be like afraid of it, because like it can be kind of scary a little bit. I
had that same choice, you know, and that's what my parents sort of, you know, they sent us to these Lutheran schools because they didn't want us to go to, there was some like F-rated.
Didn't seem like it did.
It wasn't for religious reasons.
Yeah.
They didn't want us to go. The only public schools in the area were all F-rated, and like, you know, 4,000 people.
Yeah, but it seemed like
there.
From what you're saying, there's some shicey stuff going on at these Lutheran schools too.
Oh yeah,
everywhere.
I think most. Yeah, that's something about humans. Yeah, there was some shystiness going on. But I think that's for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah.
I think people use the veil of religion as a way to justify the sin that they do or the shittiness that they are, and like, I'm forgiven, or Catholics as a prime. Like, how many Hail Marys does it take if you, you know, do whatever? You know, like there's some aspect of.
But I would say, like,
you know,
I would say that that's like not a true relationship with Jesus. Like, I would say Jesus actually changes your heart, and so like, if you,
but just through faith. Back to what we were talking about.
I think it's like through a relationship, like
with other people.
I think with other people, and I think with Jesus as well.
How do you have a relationship with someone that doesn't actually speak to you? People think that he does.
I feel like I've had Jesus speak to me, and I think some people would say, oh, like your conscience as well is like the Holy Spirit, or like, or your conscience is you, but it's also like it's like God living within you, like we all, right? Like, why do we have a lot of us have this innate sense of like, that's wrong, and I don't feel good when I do that. Why?
But then why do some people don't have that? They have no problem doing things that are wrong.
I think that there's like a lot of reasons why, like it could be.
But don't they have God living in them too?
Maybe not.
God would choose not to.
No, like maybe if they actively don't want God, or they don't want a relationship with God, or they're not like, God knows our hearts. So it's like, if you have the heart to want to understand, if you have the heart to know, then maybe, but what
if I was born in Israel or China or somewhere where that's not even a thing? That's a shitty deck of cards. If
you were like born in like a village in China,
or born somewhere where that's not what they believe. Like, you would to try to find that, you would have to, the internet would have to be there. You'd have to go to somewhere else. Like, you would never be exposed to it. Or those uncontacted tribes. Yeah.
You don't think? I would say like a pretty large majority of the world has been exposed to Christianity at this point. And if they haven't been exposed to Christianity, they've been exposed to a sunset or the beauty of nature. And they've been exposed to the thought, there is something bigger than this. There's something bigger than me, and I want to know what it is.
But in those cultures, they would have their own people telling them what those things are. It wouldn't be the Christian God. It would be the Hindu God or the Buddhist God or the God of the sun or whatever, you know, or it wouldn't be the same God that they were taught. But what Christianity teaches is that you should go out there and show these people this and convert them to that and tell them this is the only way. And then the sheer amount of people that have been murdered because they didn't believe in
it's horrible.
God.
Well, I would venture to say, like, this is my personal opinion, like, take it as it is, like, it could be absolutely wrong, but I would venture to say that, like, people grow to know or want to know Jesus by the person I am, right? Like if I'm a loving, empathetic, kind, graceful, gracious person, they're going to say, wow, something's moving in her. I want that. I want to know her more. I want that in my life. And what is that?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And I guess like, yeah, like when I go to say like, that was just a theory about like our conscious being God. That's a theory that some people say. I don't know if I believe that. I don't know necessarily. I feel like I've had moments where I've been in deep pain and I felt like I know my thoughts. I get a billion thoughts a moment. Like my brain is like on
overdrive.
I was going to say meth, but it's constantly
meth, overdrive, same
thing. Like it's constantly going. Like it's hard to hear a clear thought, but there's been moments in despair where I've heard words that don't seem like they don't feel like they come from me, where I feel, whew. And even I'm still the type of person to be like, well, it could have been, I'm not like, oh yeah, that was, but I still genuinely in my heart feel like in these moments, that was God. I felt like it was God, and it doesn't happen a lot. Like, it's not like, oh, he talks to me every day. I feel this all the time. But there's been a few moments in my life where I've been like, whew, wow. Like, and like the last one happened like 2 years ago. Like, it's not like it happens often. Yeah. Or
I think that's great though. I mean, from the positive side of that, which is if that whatever's you're communicating or whatever has come to you, like consciously or unconsciously, if it's in a positive way, and I'll play devil's advocate, is I think a lot of people think that same way about other decisions that they make. Like maybe it's why I bombed this school, or
right.
And they use that same rationalization that you just did because God told them, or they had this strong conviction that that's what's, and right, wrong, or indifferent, not for me to determine, but I sure hope God's not actually, saying those kind of things. But I think I love the way you look at it from a positive standpoint. And sometimes I feel like maybe I'm too sinister towards it, but like you don't have to look very hard to find like the opposite of examples of a lot of things, and that's back to where I spend most of my life, which is in the middle of most things. Not married to one or the other, and then maybe questioning or talking about it will hopefully lead me in one direction or the other, or maybe this is just what you do for your whole life.
Well, there's a reason they say ignorance is bliss.
True.
It's like
very true.
There are people, like I do really wish that there are times where I could have been like, yeah, that's just the way it is. And I don't think about everything else because like there is a sense of guilt when I think about everything else. And like, it's interesting, like going back to you saying like, oh, well, you come from this environment or whatever, but it's like, I never really came from an environment where my parents had these like really in-depth theological conversations with me. I remember like being a kid and being like, I want to be a nun when I grew up. Like I felt like I had this like really strong, well, I don't remember saying that. I remember my grandma telling me that I said that, but I would write letters to God and I would talk to God and I would like do all these things. And my parents, like so maybe it's because I went to Catholic school when I was a little kid. Maybe that's why, but then like,
that was the exposure.
Then that turned bad. But it's just like, I don't know, like, I don't even remember having, like, they didn't really have like theological debates up until like middle school either, but I just felt, I don't know. I think I get like my parents are both very like intense and very opinionated and very like neurotic. So I get that. I have like a degree of neuroticism from my parents for sure.
Genetics, thank you.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, genetics and influence.
I'm like more prone to aggression. I'm more prone to be emotional. I'm more prone, just prone to neuroticism.
Interesting.
Anxiety, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, I think a lot of that stuff is just part of being a human too.
Yeah.
I think there are some chemical makeups, if you will, but I do think over time, maybe there's an idea that we've tried to label things so we can justify or explain whether it's true or not true. I think there's been some aspect of humans that have tried to come up with some answers to be able to solve some of these questions that more people ask than others. And to your point, some people don't give two shits. You know, they can't figure out how they're going to put gas in their car or whatever. You know, they got other things to think about. So, but yeah, I hope that
maybe it is a blessing that we can ask these questions, because that means we're alive and we're healthy and we have time.
Yeah. And I think for me, if I want to sit like how I want to spend my time, it is thinking and understanding and trying to come up with an opinion on something. That's why I love comedians, because they spend a lot of time, you know, their goal is to make people laugh or, you know, bring this sense of joy, which is an interesting thing to even consider, like, that you can invoke on a crowd of people, you know, as an example. But a lot of them have some sort of, you know, underlying message or some sort of thought that's like, oh, maybe this group of people didn't think of it this way, which is interesting. You know, there's some aspect of that I find fascinating. But
they're able to make like trauma funny and like,
yeah, especially their own like personal examples of it.
I've got a little stand-up bit going.
I know. I know. Have you been writing? Do you write at all?
Yeah, I wrote some.
Yeah, and
then I'm just like afraid I'm going to get canceled because some of the stuff I said, I'm like, is this too much?
But get canceled by who? Who's going to cancel you?
I don't know. I'm always nervous that like I don't want anything to affect like my business or my family.
Oh yeah, I think about that.
It's like more so my business too, because like my livelihood, but like other people work there that like don't share my viewpoints and opinions, and like I don't want it to harm them.
But do you think whatever you say to those people are going to be like, now I can't work for you, or now I can't be around you?
Well, I don't want like other people. Well, no, because like I feel like the people I work with like know me, like to a degree. But I don't. It's more so like people being like, oh, blacklist this person or blacklist this business or whatever, because I don't think we have that problem in Brevard County as much. But
I think that problem
might be like
really rampant for a few years, but I think that's changing. You know, I think people got really tired of that. Like you can't suppress how people think, or that has never done well. You know,
not good.
But I get, you know,
I just like to keep it separate, right? Like my identity as like a person versus my identity as like a business owner. Like,
see, I would have a hard time keeping that separate.
It's hard.
That's back to not being authentic,
right?
Because if I'm in a moment where I think something, so maybe it's better to not say anything at all versus share how I actually think or feel.
I think I share too much,
but that's why I spend a lot of time thinking about what I think and feel. So if the opportunity comes, and sometimes like especially with religion, it comes up not just on here. I'll be like, do you really want to know what I think about this? Because I may have an idea that you haven't considered, or you equally may have an idea that I haven't considered, but you know, do you really want to know, or like should we just move on from this subject? So I find myself maybe doing that.
I think that's like good.
Doing that more frequently. Like, do you actually want to know what I think? You know, versus back to, do you want me to tell you what I think you want to hear, you know, which I'm never going to do. But to me, separating those two things would be a difficult thing. And I'm not being authentic.
I think I get that like more from my husband. Like my husband's we're very similar in like how we think. I would say to like a certain extent, but I think he's very personal. And he likes to keep his cards close to his chest, and I am an oversharer. Like I overshare. And I think like a lot of it is out of respect for him, that like I don't want to make him uncomfortable. Because like he has an idea of like what should be said or shouldn't be said, or like how you should act, and like I don't want to like cross those boundaries, and like I still do often. And
just not publicly,
because like sometimes, publicly too, like because sometimes I don't understand it. Like it's hard for me to understand, like, why is that a big deal, you know? And it's like, well, it's not for me to understand, like it's just for me to respect. Like we both have different viewpoints, and
well, that's because you care about him, and you care what he thinks, and you know his opinion of you, and his opinion for your guys' tribe and your unit.
I mean, he knows me enough to be like, okay, there's definitely going to be some oversharing going on for sure, but like I also want, you know, he's built that restaurant, and it's like I want to respect how it's handled. Like a couple weeks ago, like one of our coworkers posted our Valentine's Day menu and like posted Glorilla, like Glorilla the rapper. She's a rapper.
Nope.
But it was like Let Her Cook. It's like the song, and
I've heard people say Let Her Cook.
She posted it on, and so it's like a rap song, and I like shared it to the Fat Snook Instagram, because I was like, this is hilarious, and like I like rap music, and I like Glorilla, like it's guilty pleasure.
Sure.
And so I like posted it, and my husband was like, He was like, did you post that to like the Fat Snook public page? I was like, well, yeah, someone shared it and then I shared it. It's not like I made it up. And he was like, yeah, I don't know how.
Because it's a rap song?
Well, yeah, he just doesn't like the image it portrays, like to the restaurant.
Okay.
And I mean, there was like cursing or whatever in it.
Oh, no.
It's like...
Yeah. I get it.
Yeah, and so he didn't like that. And so my first instinct is to be like, it's fine. Like, if people get it, they get it. If they don't, they don't. And like, people are going to get offended by a rap song. Who fucking cares?
Yeah,
like, who cares?
They can eat somewhere else.
That's what I'm saying. And it's a social media. It's social media. It's not like very many 70-year-olds are on Instagram watching stories. Like maybe some, but like not
the
truly,
majority.
not the people that share our stuff. But then I was like, I took it down because I was like, even though it was against every fiber in my being, I was like, I want to show him that I like respect his feelings on this.
I get it.
Yeah.
It wasn't the sword you were going to die on, if you will.
No, and I die on.
I was going to say,
I will die on a hill.
People have those, you know.
I have too many. That's my problem.
Those. Yeah, the hill you're going to die on, not the
hill,
sword.
The sword,
die
whatever.
Whatever.
But I'm very. I don't know, I'm very stuck in my convictions until, and then oftentimes I'll be like, I was just humbled because that was a poor decision.
Yeah.
And I learned from it. And that was my whole life growing up. I had to learn the hard way. I had to learn my way.
But I also think that's the only really way that you learn.
Right.
You know?
Well, some people are like, please tell me what to do. Please tell me what to do. I want to learn this way.
Maybe.
I've met quite a few.
That's not the...
followers.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they want to be told what to do and how to do it.
To me, that's why religion is so successful.
Sure.
And why some sports teams have such a loyal following, because a lot of that, to me, seems like it's a preying on some human natures of certain people, whether it's religion or politics or sports. Like I just said, it's just I don't know if that's good, bad, or indifferent. That's how it is.
It could be good. It could be bad. I think it's both.
It depends.
Yeah.
You know, but that's how a lot of people start cults and get everyone's wives and daughters and stuff too.
Do you think you would be a good cult leader?
I could do it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it morally.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking.
You're joking. You're joking as in like you could do it. You're like, I could do it. I wouldn't do it. Joking. I would.
Oof. I definitely would not do it.
Okay.
You know, let's just clarify.
Sure,
I'm just thinking of the right way to put this. Do I think that you could come up with a message and convince enough people to? Do I think that I could come up with some message that makes enough sense to enough people? Yes. You don't think you could?
I think I could. Yeah. I think anyone could. I'd like to think I'm like somewhat engaging, somewhat, and I think like maybe people would be like, but I also think like it's weird. It's like this conundrum I have with myself. Like I think positively and then so negatively at the same time of myself. It's like this constant war. I just talked about that in therapy yesterday, actually.
But I think that's a lot of people, and then that's where like you know, you doubt yourself, you know, in certain environments, and you should think positively about you.
Sure.
And the one thing that you have too that I think would be a good cult leader is like you're just charismatic in general. You know, I think that is where a lot of cult leaders start to find people, is they're able to be, you know, charismatic, if you will. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you.
Yeah. But I think a lot of people, myself included, you know, you struggle with that same stuff.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that's part of being
I think
human.
I would like maybe start a cult and then like somebody else would take over the cult. And I'd be like, listen to them. They're smarter than me.
You would start a cult, find another person to take your
over.
Place.
Well, they would just do it. They would just take it over.
Without force, just willingly. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just making this scenario up in my head.
I like it.
I don't even have a cult. I don't even have the basis of a cult.
I think you do. I think there's some underlying, you know.
I don't know if I could. Sure, maybe.
Yeah. I think there is some aspect of humans that they just, it's easier to be a sheep. It's easier to 100%. Be led, you know, in a certain direction. And
what's it called when like people are like telling you like to do one thing and you're like, fuck that, I'm doing the other. I'm not doing that because I have that problem. I have that problem.
Yeah. If a lot of people say blue, 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 I'm like, fuck that, green.
Yeah, I'm like that.
Because to me, I don't know if the majority of people are always right. I think certain things start to lead to like what they call, what is that called? Like group think, you know, or something to where like, or this is the way it's always been. And for whatever reason, no, I'm not much into, if everyone is doing it, I'm usually the complete opposite.
Yeah, I feel that way too, which is like, it's tough with like music and stuff when you're just like, oh, I love this band. And then like, you like gatekeep the band and then like everyone finds it and you're like, stupid band now. Ruined it.
Okay. I see. I get that. Yeah.
I can be like that sometimes, which is kind of like annoying and like pretentious.
Well, at least you know.
Yeah.
You know, this is it's good
for
to
sure.
verbalize it. This
Yeah.
is step one, right?
Like I didn't like Harry Potter for a long time because everyone loved Harry Potter.
I don't like Harry. I don't know. I've seen the first one.
Yeah.
I haven't read any of the books.
The books
I've been to the land.
It's
I've
fun.
been to the world.
It's fun.
Whatever.
I'm like, why would I not like Harry Potter? I mean, I have kids and people like Harry Potter.
It's kind of another religion.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
To some people. Yeah.
Do you know what house you'd be in?
I don't know what that means. Like, what does that mean?
Like there's like 4 Harry Potter houses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
When he was playing that game.
Quidditch.
Yeah.
What about like
you're more into this
saying
than
like
you're
I don't like Harry Potter and I know every single thing.
You know the houses and the names.
I am in Hufflepuff, obviously.
Hufflepuff.
Yeah, you give me Hufflepuff or maybe Gryffindor.
Vibes.
Vibes.
Is that good?
Yeah, it's good. It's fine.
Yeah. Which should I pick? I'm gonna pick one.
Well, you have to do it online. You can't just pick one.
You have to do it online.
It's like a sorting. It's like a quiz
where it asks me questions and then it determines. Oh, that's interesting.
Maybe ChatGPT can assign
can assign me my house.
Your house.
My house in Harry Potter. Yeah. Okay. Maybe that'll be my next ChatGPT quest. Yeah.
Are you like big into music?
Yes. Yeah. I think music brings a certain feeling that it's similar to comedy, you know, like a musician could definitely lead cults, you know,
for sure,
and some do, you know, to an extent, but yeah, definitely, and all kinds, you know. I don't have any specific like genre or like yeah, definitely. Yeah. What about you? Rap music, that's your thing? I
do like rap music.
Me too.
I thought I was gonna be a rapper for a while.
Oh dear God.
I did.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
I would love to hear some bars. You know, you got any bars?
Not off the top of my head.
Damn.
Yeah, not off the top of my head. I can't.
You thought you were going to be a rapper?
I thought I was going to be a rapper. Yeah, I lived in New York City.
Okay.
I
didn't mean to laugh at that like in a negative way.
It is funny. It is funny. It is funny. I lived in New York City. I met a producer and I showed him some things I wrote.
Nice.
And he wrote me a beat.
Wow.
And he was a producer for somebody who was touring with Rick Ross. And I was like, I got this. And then I got pregnant. And it just wasn't a good look, which was like, I was living the lifestyle. You know what I mean? I was living the rap lifestyle.
Living the rap lifestyle? What does that mean? If you want to...
It means I got pregnant. No, I'm just kidding.
I see.
I was just kidding. That was a joke.
That was funny. Funny.
No, I got pregnant by a Puerto Rican Starbucks barista. So...
Are you joking right now?
That is not a joke. That happened.
Not your husband?
No.
Okay. So I didn't know this.
My husband is not a Puerto Rican Starbucks barista.
I didn't know. So
my daughter's father is.
So the rap life leads you to Puerto Rican baristas.
It did.
That's interesting.
It did. Dale. You know what I mean?
Dale. Yeah. See, that would be a great story for a stage somewhere.
Yeah, probably.
100%.
I was like, you know, I was getting free frappuccinos.
Oh, yes.
And you know what happens?
Perks. I get it. Free frappuccinos. One thing leads to another.
Fucking 12-year-old kid.
Fucking 12-year-old kid. Rap life. That's awesome.
Rap life.
That is hilarious. I did not know that. Not know that.
Yeah, that's the rap life.
Yeah. I lean more towards like I love music for the like nostalgic purposes, you know, like music from that maybe your parents played or your grandparents,
I like that too.
For that matter. When my grandfather died, my one still alive is 94. My other one died in 94. I looked up what songs were popular when he was in college, and I added them to, and that's ones I've never heard before.
I love that.
Added them to like my like playlist rotation. So and when those comes on, it like makes me think of cool shit we did together or stuff he's talking about. So I like it for one of my favorite emotions is nostalgia.
Yeah, I love the nostalgia too.
And I'm not so sold that everyone has all the emotions that are categorized. You know, I don't think so, but I definitely feel that one. And
I'll like cry when I listen to certain songs
for sure
and stuff.
Yeah. Regularly. Taylor Swift gets me big time.
Are you joking?
No. Yeah.
I do not like Taylor Swift.
Because she's Team Kamala.
No.
I'm joking.
No, I don't like
a
Taylor.
10-year-old boy told me he didn't like Taylor Swift.
Because she's Team
And
Kamala.
I asked why. And he's like, because she's voting for Kamala. I was like, you're 10.
That's a silly reason.
I said, you don't like any of her songs? So I'm going to ask you. You don't like any Taylor Swift songs?
I think the only songs I like, I like the folklore stuff.
Okay. I'm a fan.
I
have that vinyl.
That's fine.
My daughter has that vinyl.
But I don't really like anything else. No.
Man, okay. I'm gonna start sending you
please
Taylor
don't.
Swift songs.
Please
but
do
you
not.
cannot tell me
One
you
of my
don't like
best
this.
friends loves Taylor Swift.
Okay.
And so I've gone down this road with her.
She leads a cult. People call her mother.
I believe it.
There's a huge community
truly
of
think
people.
she's a witch.
A witch?
I think she's a witch.
So we should burn her? We should burn her at the stake?
No, I don't believe in murder.
Violence, murder.
No, I don't believe in that.
Okay.
I don't believe in that.
All right. So no Taylor Swift. Okay. I like a lot of things, man.
But so is Taylor Swift one of your faves?
We were talking about what makes you cry. Taylor
Swift makes you cry.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't mean to shame you. Which Taylor Swift song makes you cry?
I could probably
name like 12.
Yeah, quite a few.
Really?
Yeah. And you know what really started it was my daughter. I didn't really. I mean, I knew
because
some
your daughter
of her.
likes. So that's I can understand that.
But I knew like some early stuff of hers before I had a child. You know, her debut album was let's see, the song Tim McGraw from her debut album is a pretty good one.
Okay.
That's more nostalgic. One that comes to mind that's like more of a recent one. You know, I'd have to go through and specifically look, but most of them it's because of my daughter. Like either it reminds me of something about her.
Well, I think that's sweet. Like I don't. I'm not hating on that.
It seems like it.
No, I'm not.
Like you
no,
really
I'm not.
cry over Taylor Swift. I
just
cry
keep
over
thinking of
stupid things. Yeah.
I'm feeling 22. Like I just
cry all the time at that.
Yeah,
one. No.
that one gets you.
No. There's one called. Oh my God! Like I feel terrible now. Like I've been talking all this shit, and like I can't even think of the titles. My daughter is gonna kill me.
She'd be very upset.
That I'm gonna, because I know the album.
She might kill you that you're talking to someone that doesn't like Taylor Swift.
She gets it. You know, we went to
Swiftie.
So there's 11 Taylor Swift albums, by the way.
Okay.
And my daughter had 7 of them.
Okay.
And we went to a record festival over in Orlando this past weekend to try to find the remaining 4. And she found the 3 out of the 4. But it's a 20,000 square foot. It's the world's largest vinyl record show in, they said the world, but it's probably America. Who knows? But there's all these booths. So I walk up to these dudes and be like, all guys, some of them were there with like maybe a significant other. Like, oh, you got any Taylor Swift? And some people were like, oh, hell yeah. And some dudes are like, no, like, get the fuck out of here.
I'm mortified.
Yeah. So there's some visceral
reaction,
hatred towards her for some. And I think it's also because what you said earlier is there's a lot of masses that go in that direction.
Right.
So some people just naturally go in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I have in my household 10 Taylor Swift vinyls that are on normal, regular rotation. And there's probably like 10 or 12 songs that I've added specifically to like my playlist I play like normally too. Yeah.
Okay.
Very nostalgic and
sweet.
And it makes me think of my daughter. And you know what? It makes me think of women specifically, which then makes me think about my daughter. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah. The plight of Taylor Swift.
Yeah. She's had a rough go.
She's had a tough go. Are you joking?
I think probably like self-inflicted, like in her relationships for sure. But it would be
There's no way she's always the victim. Like she always portrays herself as this
100%.
strong woman that's just gone.
But to defend her a little bit, it would be very challenging to be a famous child and then try to become an adult. That's like Justin Bieber. You know, it's like any of those people.
Yeah, she was like in high school.
Or Michael Jackson or any of those people. Yeah. To be that famous when you're young and to try to develop into a human, it's like the same reason you don't want your kids to have technology is because...
I would say like she probably did like a better job than most. I think they caught her on the tail end of like...
Fair. Yeah,
I was like 17 or something.
I don't know.
15. I don't know.
That debut album. I should know that. Yeah. My daughter's going to be upset at this one. But yeah, I lean more toward, I listen to like a lot of older country music. That's a good one. Some newer stuff too. A wide palette of music, if you will. And then I like some local people I've been checking out, and I had a band on here, the Bloody Jug Band. Shout out. They'll be at shout out John and his crew there. Jug bands are cool. You know what they are? You ever heard of them?
No.
The concept of a jug band?
No.
So before there was like or a lot of it started, like, I believe John was probably quote me on this one, like in the like African American community, where they didn't have instruments, so they would play on jugs or whatever else they had. So that's where jug band comes from. So he has a jug band. It's Orlando's. They call him a country band. He calls himself a swamp rock band. But they're actually coming to play at an event we're doing at the house. It's going to be cool. Bonfire type event.
Oh, that is cool.
Band there. Yep. So I like all kinds of stuff. Yeah. Mix of things. Yeah. Some rap stuff too.
Yeah.
More older rap, I think. Some of the newer stuff got a little too, I don't know, seems more fake, if you will. Yeah. Some of the older stuff seems a little bit more real.
I get that.
Yeah. Man, no Taylor Swift. We can't be friends.
I like, I don't know. No. I mean, my kids were listening to her for a while and they got off of it. And I'm like, oh, thank God.
Thank God, yeah.
I took them to a concert and...
Not a Taylor Swift concert.
No,
yeah, those were way
we went to their first concert.
Who was it?
It's a band called Royal Otis.
Royal Otis.
Yeah, they're like an Australian indie rock band.
Nice.
And they're definitely my favorite
Royal
band
Otis.
Right now.
Okay, check them out.
Yeah, they're great.
Nice.
My daughters love them. It was their first concert. We met them at the concert.
Oh, cool.
I just told my kids, I said, just go up. Just say like, hey, can we meet them? You're the only kids here. And
they were like, heck yeah.
They were like, well, are you cool enough? And they did like, they're like, can I film you? So like they're on the not on the website, but they're on their Instagram page, like a little video of them.
Cool.
And they're like, yeah, we're cool. We're cool. It's our first concert.
Nice.
And so then they got to meet them. And actually, ironically said to, their names are Royal and Otis. I said, thank you for kicking Taylor Swift out. And they laughed. They liked that.
Nice.
They liked that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
My son would love for Taylor Swift to be kicked out.
Yeah.
He's got a couple that he likes too. He more pretends. But I think it's just because he thinks he's trying to be cool.
I mean, we like some of them. Like, I like the...
we're coming around.
There's like... No, I'm saying like two songs.
Okay.
One.
Okay.
That I can think of.
Yeah.
It's like... Wherever you go, I'll follow.
Okay. Yeah.
I like that one. Yeah. That's I can't really think of any other ones.
Don't Blame Me. That's a good one. That one I heard for the first time I heard it, my daughter was actually singing it. So then now every time I hear that one gets me.
Well, I think that's sweet.
Yeah.
I think that's sweet. I think that's like why too Royal Otis, I love them so much, is because we went on this road trip to Atlanta.
Oh, cool.
And we like ate out. We stayed at a hotel. They saw their first concert. They met the band. Like is all this cool stuff. That's so dope. We like still listen. Yeah. We have like t-shirts signed by them. Yeah. But I like a lot of like indie rock. We listen to a lot of folk and indie rock. And my older daughter, she's like actually like a really good rapper. She's the Puerto Rican Star Barista's baby.
Yeah.
Starbucks Barista's baby. So she's
got
like,
she
like skipped. It like went through me to her.
It's funny how that works.
And just to, he's not a barista anymore. He's very not good father, good dad.
Good.
Just to speak.
Yeah, not that barista.
I don't want to put that label right on him.
Barista?
Now, 10, 12 years later.
Barista.
He was when I met him. No, it's not a bad label, but it's like I don't want to reduce him to that.
I see. You're not insinuating that he's a poor father. He's a good father.
He's a good dad to Harper,
which is good.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I just but she's a very good rapper.
Nice.
She likes. I mean, we listen to edited rap music. She's like, oh, I know what they say, so I can't. I'm like, because it's just the principle. It's just the principle.
Yeah, I struggle with that.
Your daughters are in the car. I don't know. Your sisters are in the car.
No.
Let's just listen to edited for now. Sometimes when we're by ourselves, I'll like, if it's not sexually explicit, like if it's just like they say like damn or fuck or whatever.
Yeah. Were you about to censor yourself? I think we've dropped a few F-bombs.
Yeah, we did. I would play it.
I called Eve a bitch. Yeah, I said it was that bitch's fault.
You did.
I did.
You did.
I've said that a few times.
Yeah. For some reason, I'm like, Eve, who's that? And then I realized.
Yes. Circling back. Recalled that one.
Yeah, you called her. You called her a bitch, but then you were like, I just don't want to blame women.
Is that what I said?
I feel like we're blaming women
I didn't say
for all
me.
of this stuff,
I
and
said
it's not right. But she's a bitch.
Yeah, I said that it's that bitch's fault.
You're blaming Eve. You're blaming Eve.
I'm just reading what the Bible says. Reciprocating.
The Bible says it's that bitch's fault.
Yes, word for word.
Paraphrased.
That's what Martin Luther translated into the Lutheran Bible. Right. I think I'm okay with a little bit of cussing from the children.
Yeah,
my son is.
I don't really love it. I mean, it's kind of funny, but it's not.
At the right moment, and with the understanding of what are you trying to say with these words? Are you trying to offend me or offend somebody? Right. Are you trying to get your point across? Right. And then also understanding that everyone is that receptive. They've never to their teacher.
Public. Yeah. Well, that's good. Maybe in public.
I think words are just words.
Yeah, I don't I'm not huge on I'm like, oh, I don't really want them to, but it's like, why? Because what of society says, will I be viewed as a trashy parent if my kid says a curse word? And it's like, kind of, yeah. So also I just want them to I curse a lot, and I think it's I don't know, I'm passionate. I worked in the restaurant industry for 17 years, you know what I mean?
Rap life too.
And I was a rapper. Yeah, I was a very renowned, very popular rapper. So it's
amongst baristas.
Yeah. Just one.
Just one.
But I did, and it wasn't even Dunkin' Donuts. It was Starbucks.
Oh,
it was top tier.
Top tier.
So
top tier.
Yeah. I definitely feel like I have, a bit of a potty mouth. My parents both do. So I say, I've said a few words. I say words often, but I still have this story where I remember I made gnocchi for dinner one night, and I was so sick. She was 2, Olive. That's my middle daughter, and I was so sick of her. I'm like, just eat the food.
That's
this
the
is
chicken
ridiculous.
nugget daughter.
No, that's Birdie. Birdie is the chicken nugget daughter. She's the youngest. Olive is getting more adventurous, but she's like, I'm like, you just all my kids are so stubborn, crazy, and I'm like, you know what? Fine. Don't eat it for dinner, but I'm going to heat it up. And when you ask for it tomorrow, this is what you're eating. So I bring it in the car with me. We're driving, and she's like, I'm not eating this. And I'm like, you need to eat it. And she was 2 years old. And she goes, I'm not going to eat the gnocchi, you old fuck. And I was like, did you just call me old? Yeah. I was more upset about that.
About the old side of it.
I was like, dude, I was like,
yeah. That's pretty good timing.
Old fuck? What a crazy thing to say.
From a comedic timing standpoint, that's pretty good.
It's pretty funny. That's pretty good. I was like, can I be mad about it? No. But they say things. I mean, they say things sometimes. The new thing that they're doing, Birdie, is she's going, shit. She spaces it out, and then she'll
clever.
And I'm like, don't, just stop, please. Yeah. And I laugh, and I think that's part of the problem is I laugh too much. I'm a laugher.
I'm guilty at that. Yeah. My first reaction is usually laugh. It depends on the environment. But again, they're not being malicious.
No, but as soon as you laugh, you're like, I'm going to do this forever. I'm going to overkill it.
Yes. Since you're getting that kind of reaction. I'm just
geez. So they asked me if they could say bad words in their head. I'm like, I don't care. Yeah. Say whatever you want. Say whatever you want in your head. But my middle one has got the temper for sure. I mean, they all do. Yeah. They all do.
Do you think stubbornness and temper is genetic?
I think so. Yeah.
I agree.
My husband is we're both very, he's very quiet and reserved when you meet him, but he is, we both struggle at times with emotional regulation. And I would say he seems very chill and calm, but when you know him, he's got lots going on under the surface. He's very, I don't know. He gives me chivalrous, night vibes. And if he thinks something is wrong, an injustice, he will.
Interesting.
He's gotten a lot better at that. I'm going to waste my time. Yeah. But if he sees something that's wrong, he's like, no.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, well, yeah, but he's like, well, is it wrong? Yeah. Okay. Well then, and I admire that about him. He does not give a fuck. If he feels a certain way, he's going to say it.
That's
I think that's attractive because he doesn't care if people like him or not.
Yeah.
And when I first started dating him, people would be, it was 1 or 2 people because he was the head chef. They'd be like, he's an asshole. I'm like, oh, he's nice to me, you know?
Yeah.
But it was he did not care. And he deep down, I think does. I think he really only cares what maybe me and the kids think about him. But for the most part, he does not care what the public thinks, which I thought was kind of hot at the time because how many people are you around that just we just said have no authenticity, will just say what they think everyone wants,
or they'll go with the crowd.
I thought that I don't like an agreeable man. I don't overly agreeable, like a yes man, I don't like that.
No.
But then I go married and not yes man, and I'm like, oh my god, everything. I'm like, Very stubborn. We're both very, very stubborn.
So that genetic there was no winning there. It was coming from the both of you. Yeah.
I was fucked with my parents. Our kids are fucked with us.
Oh, they're fine.
I know, they're fine.
They're fine.
I mean, I do think...
Could have been much worse.
Oh, it could have been. I mean, we definitely, like, very much... Like, our home is very loud, but it's filled with laughter and love.
Nice.
And at times screaming. Yeah. Like, to the point where I'm like, oh, my God. Like, sometimes I think it's like a joke. Like, I'm like, are other people like this? Is other families like this? Because I've seen other people's kids, and maybe I'm not in their home, but I'm like, like the stuff my kids say and do and act, like I'm just like, oh my God. Like,
as much as I talk about genetics and environment, they're still their own thing.
Right.
You know, they're going to be their own people, and hopefully when the time is right, they make the smarter decisions, you know, and they're going to make plenty of mistakes like we all do. And I'm open about that too, you know, like about my mistakes and the ones I still will make, and
I
probably
say sorry
ones
like
I'm
every
make in
day
the future.
to my kids. I apologize. I'm like, that wasn't nice, or I should have done this, or hey, I'm still trying to like. I never really got that from my parents. Like, I didn't mean to interrupt you, by the way.
Fine.
But it's like my mom would say sorry if like she overtly like smacked me or like did something that was like overtly wrong. But like if there was like a behavior or something, like now I get it. But like as a kid, I didn't get a lot of, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. Or I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. It's like, well, yeah, I hit you because you did this, or because you did that. And it's like, I will say to my kids, like, and I think that's why I got so upset with my parents, because it's like, you're my parents. You're not supposed to do this stuff. You're not supposed to make these mistakes. And it's like, I want my kids to know I am still trying to figure out how to manage my emotions.
Yeah.
I'm still learning to be a better person every day. I make mistakes every single day. I'm not perfect. I never will be perfect. So like, show me some grace too. Like, yes, I need to set the example. I need to be a better example. And like my emotional reactivity to certain situations, like if I'm driving, you know, if I'm driving, someone cuts me off, like, you fuck. And then I'm like, oh, sorry guys. Like, it's just so normal. They don't even bat an eye. They're like, mom's crazy.
What's interesting about that is you're in a heightened sense of like things could go wrong, even if you don't even realize. That's why
I'm always in the heightened sense of things could go wrong. Oh yeah.
Definitely.
That's what trauma does. As a kid, I'm like constantly like, we were at SeaWorld the other day, and I'm like, oh, I think of everything. Oh, this collapses over my kid. What would I do? And then I'm like, what? I'm supposed to be having fun. Like, why am I thinking like this? Like, constantly.
I do that same thing. Think like worst case scenario. I do that like if I'm in a room.
Right.
Like, how would I get out of here if I needed to?
Right.
Yeah. Or if someone comes in. Yeah. Like movie theaters changed for that. I
think about that too.
Went to the Dog Man movie over the weekend as well.
Man.
It's a book series.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyways. And,
it's like a kid's book.
It's a kid's book that they made into a movie.
Was it good?
Yeah. It was good.
Cool.
I fell asleep, which made my daughter upset. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways.
Add that to the Taylor Swift.
That to the Taylor Swift. She forgave me.
She's like, you're a failure.
No, she was.
I'm kidding. Yeah, I went too far.
No, but that's. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, but no. So, anyways, in a movie theater, that all changed because somebody when I was not that old, I remember that story of when they went in and started shooting up people in movie theaters. So now I think about that stupid kind of stuff. Yeah. But then I try to bring myself back where I'm like, am I having fun? You're thinking about something that if it did happen, like you would have to just react at that given moment. Right. But I do think there is something to a benefit to sometimes having a plan and thinking like worst case scenario. Yeah. Maybe not always, maybe not. No. But just for a brief
also
moment.
And I'll think in depth. Like I'll think about like if I'm driving, my car flipped over and it's like on fire and I'm like pulling my kids out and like I'll think about, and I'm like the images, and then I start to physically feel sick and it's like my brain can't differentiate. And
that's too far.
It's too far.
That's too far.
So it's like I'm in this state of like fight or flight like constantly. All of the time.
Well, I think you identified where that came from, or partially probably where that came from, and then maybe what you would do to try to hopefully that doesn't instill down to the next generation.
I don't say it to my kids. I'm like, hey guys, wouldn't it be crazy if like this car flipped and we all caught on fire? What would we do? Like, I don't do that.
Oh, I do.
Oh.
Yeah,
fuck.
a little bit. Yeah. Not too much.
You're watching Dog Man. You're like, if a shooter came in right now,
we're going out that door.
You say that? Oh my God.
No. Yeah.
You're like, God.
Yeah, little stuff. Like I'm not trying to think of anything.
You guys want popcorn? No, I'm just kidding. I'll be right back.
Or even just like little stuff like we went camping, right?
Sure.
We did a camping trip over the holidays. We were out there for 4 days. And I bring a pistol with me. And, probably, and I'll talk openly about that and like what could happen. I said, no, it's not really fearful of like an animal. So my son would be like, or my daughter, maybe it's a bear or a coyote or something. Yeah, maybe. But it's more for other people.
Sure.
At the end of the day. And then maybe some people wouldn't agree you should tell that to your children. Like, I don't I think you should tell them, a little bit more than maybe some people
I agree.
But yeah, I think that's probably a recent example.
Age
where I could
appropriately
be like,
honest. I think you should be age appropriately honest.
But who writes the book on what's age appropriate?
I think we just try to decide and not fuck them up. I think I have. I already told my kids that Santa wasn't real, so...
Me too.
Like, immediately.
But also tell them that some people believe that, so it's not our...
Be respectful.
It's not our place to be respectful, and if you want to think that, that's great.
Sure,
we
can pretend.
But logically, if you sit there and think about it, and it is fun, and Christmas is fun, but I actually like it better that they know where it actually comes from.
Yeah.
Not some magical creature that took the place of Jesus.
Right.
And has its own cult now.
Right.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've gone all over the place here, which I enjoy when we have these conversations. Is sort of the point of it. I like how you think about things, and we'll just have to start a cult. You start it, I'll take it over. It'll be fine. The plan will work out.
And I'll have to start my own separate cult and be like, fuck his cult.
Yeah. Oh, then we're gonna have cult.
We'll
wars,
have a cult beef.
Yeah, cult beef. There's your rap hat coming out.
Cult beef.
Yeah, cult beef. Yeah. One of my most embarrassing moments that comes to mind is I was in a car with two of my buddies when I was probably 18 or 19. And they were really good at freestyle rapping. Okay. So it would go from one to the other and then come back to me. And I had nothing. Yeah. Zero.
Was it being filmed or?
No, we're just in a car. Yeah. We're just in a car.
And that was your most embarrassing moment?
One that comes to mind if I think about rap.
Okay. About rap.
Plenty of embarrassing moments.
You've gotten out lucky.
I think that regularly about my life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Most things that I think I've just been really lucky. Yeah. In a lot of different ways, a lot of different aspects. But yeah, that was an interesting rap embarrassing moment. I think about it sometimes. I had nothing. I couldn't come up with anything. Yeah. I had nothing. I think I was more embarrassed than anything else. What am I going to be?
You should have been rap stupid. Yeah, I don't like this.
Dumb. This is lame. Classic defense mechanism. Yeah. Well, this was fun. I always enjoy spending time talking with you. Thanks for coming. Sorry for all the date changes and different things that come up. I was
part of that. So
yeah, I have to stay committed to this is something that I just enjoy. You know, and this is where I get to be selfish, which is something I talk about a lot. Just I got to keep finding time. And
it's fun.
It helps me. Selfishly, I love to hear how people think about things, and challenges a little bit of sort of my own beliefs and thoughts and opinions, and get to meet cool people. At the end of the day.
You did
definitely
today.
Did. Nice. Cool. All right. Anything else?
No. Thank you.
Sweet. Thank you.